Hey, what's up guys? It's Caleb from App Design Tips, and I want to share with you some awesome new features that Adobe announced just the other day. And this includes two of my most sought after features, which was overlay and fixed element support for prototyping. So I want to show you what that means here. On this screen I have a few artboards, and traditionally when you wanted to show something that overlays, for example this search interface, you had to design entire elements behind to kind of mimic this overlay. But that's no longer the case. So if I go into prototype here, let's say that we click on this area to link to this area. Now when I go into prototype and we can preview this, that works and it appears the same, but you see how some elements changed, like the title. So now let's change this, and I'm just going to bring this down here. I'll delete everything else because we don't need this anymore. And I can even go into my design and I'll remove this fill, just bring this down here, and I'm gonna just delete a bunch of this stuff here. The only thing that we need is this element. So now that I'm done with this, grab some of this stuff, I can take this same element, move it up, and I can even resize this artboard to be much smaller. And now when I go back into prototype mode, I can click on this little icon here, and instead of having a transition to another page, I can click on this overlay right here, and I can have a drop down, I can have slide left, slide right. I'm just going to keep it dissolve for now. And then this is going to ask, where do you want to position this in relation to the artboard that's going to be overlaid behind it. So I'm going to position it right here. And now let's go back and try that. So I'm going to click play here and just try this, and it works perfect. Now, another thing that we're able to do is fixed elements. So this element right here is a nav header. So I can go back into design, and anything that you want to be fixed within your prototype, just click on this icon here, fix position. We're going to scroll down here. We also want this to be fixed position. And I'm going to click play again, and we can see when we scroll this is fixed, but it also has a layering issue. So I'm going to bring this to the top, and now that works perfect, and I can still have this overlay even with this scroll. It starts to have a lot higher fidelity. This is just really amazing. And another cool thing here, you notice that we don't have the sticky footer even though we made this fixed position, and that's because we need to bring this up and just right above this fold area here. So now that we have that, it's starting to look a lot better. We still have the awesome overlay features and starting to look really nice. Now another cool feature is, even though you have sticky elements and you have overlay elements, if you have blurred effects or transparency effects, then those come right into play with these elements. So for example, this item right here is purple. I'm just going to click on this rectangle here in the background, this base, and I'm going to go into, we're in design mode, and I'm just going to make the transparency just a little bit transparent, and I'll add a background blur here. And we can see here that everything that I change in these settings, bring this a little bit purple, make this a little bit more blurred, and I think I can bring this opacity back up to 100%. Okay, so now we have a nice background blur. And check this out, when I scroll up and down, that blur is applied here in the footer as well, which is really awesome. Now I want to try one more thing here. So we've got some artboards over here. This is a purchase artboard, so if you click on this, book this for $207, you should be able to get a slide up interface that's overlaid on top of it. So again, this used to be two artboards. This is no longer the case. I can delete everything inside of here. So I'll delete this, delete these elements, and I'll even remove this fill, bring this over here, and I even want this item right here to be transparent. So I'm going to add background blur there, bring the opacity up just a little bit here, and I'm going to bring this up. There we go. And now I can go into my prototype mode. I can click book this for $207. I can bring this wire over to this overlay, choose that again, and I actually want this to be at the bottom right here. And I'm going to go back in here, And instead of the dissolve, I'm going to have slide up. And I can click play here and have it slide up, slide down. There we go. And even when it's sliding up, this blur has an effect to it. So to make that more prominent, I'm going to go back into this element here and bring this down to, let's say, 50%. The blur, I'm going to have a little bit less blurred. And let's go back into this artboard here. Let's try it again. So we can see that there's a nice blur effect in the background. So these are just a few awesome features. There's also the ability to do math within certain fields. So your properties inspector here, you can do 375 times 2, and that math will compute in here for you. You can do multiplication, divide, all that stuff in here to get your design pixel perfect with some math involved. Now with this new update, you're going to be able to do far more prototyping to make your designs a lot more interactive, a lot more lifelike, and have higher fidelity. I'm really excited about it. Also, for those of you in Salt Lake City, if you haven't heard by now, we're having an Adobe Creative Jam where I'll be one of the judges in the competition. So this is at 7 o'clock. I'm excited to see you guys there and see what some of these designers are going to come up with. And again, if you're local, you can just visit this URL here and just RSVP, and I hope to see you there. For more tips and tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell icon for future videos.